The nebula churned like a living storm, its tendrils of cobalt plasma twisting through the void in long, ghostly ribbons. Lightning flickered somewhere deep within, casting stark shadows across the metallic armor of the Dominion Seeker Vortal as it glided silently through the blue haze. High Marshal Koth Raisin stood at the command dais of his bridge, his exoskeletal armor gleaming in the nebula light. His insectoid frame was tall, imposing, built like a predator carved out of obsidian. His sharp mandibles clicked in anticipation as his eyes scanned the horizon. This was the edge of known space, rich, unclaimed, vulnerable. And the Dominion had come to take it. Long-range scans complete, reported strategist Yrosol from the lower deck, her translucent carapace catching the light. No active civilizations detected. No military signatures. Only mineral-rich systems and unguarded worlds. Excellent, Koth Raisin hissed. A fertile frontier. Soon to be ours. The Dominion had conquered almost every species they'd met by blade or fire or fear. Expansion was their instinct, their religion, their purpose. Nothing had ever stopped them. Nothing had ever dared to. Until the beacon. It was discovered on the far edge of the nebula, a solitary object drifting without propulsion. No origin. No broadcast. Just pulsing steadily, as if waiting. Recovering it had been simple. An automated drone latched on, scanned it, and brought it to the Vortal. The Dominion officers gathered around the projection terminal as the device activated. A beam of light shimmered. Then a figure appeared, humanoid, tall, broad-shouldered, clad in a deep navy uniform. His skin was pale, his hair dark, his eyes sharp and steady. A faint hum underlined the hologram's playback. Static crackled at the edges. He spoke. "If you find this, it means we're close. Leave this region now. Do not approach our colonies. Do not test our borders. This is your only warning." The room was silent. The hologram flickered, then ended on a crest, an eagle, wings outstretched over a burning star. "What species is that?" asked Yrosol, wings fluttering with unease. Koth Raisin sneered. "Unknown. And irrelevant." The messages clearly meant to intimidate, Yrosol pressed. "The technology of that beacon is beyond anything used in this sector." "Then let them watch," the High Marshal growled. "Let them see the power of the Dominion." He turned away from the hologram, signaling to his officers. "Mobilize the fleet. We begin immediate reclamation." He didn't realize then, the battleship was already watching. Hours later, the nebula erupted with the arrival of more Dominion ships, fawn-like cruisers, heavy artillery frigates, and command vessels stamping their presence upon the stars. The fleet moved with swift, brutal efficiency, forming a wide phalanx pushing deeper into the cloud. Their probing sensors finally detected something, someone waiting. A ship. But nothing like theirs. It appeared first as a distortion, a ripple in the nebula's mist. Then, slowly, as the dust cloud parted, its impossible size came into view. A lone battleship. 30 kilometers long. Easily dwarfing any vessel the Dominion had built. A silhouette of death. Its hull was matte black, absorbing the starlight so dark it appeared to drink in the surrounding void. Its surface was smooth and unbroken, save for the faint lines of dormant systems that ran along its armored skin like sleeping veins. But it was the silence that weighed on them, the stillness. This wasn't a vessel on standby. This was a vessel waiting. Strategist Yrosol whispered, I've never seen anything like it." Koth Raisin narrowed his eyes. His mandibles twitched. "What is this ship?" he demanded. "Scan it." Technicians worked quickly, but their expressions paled as their instruments returned corrupted data. "Impossible readings," one muttered. "Armor composition unknown. Energy signatures, off-scale. No lifeform registers," another added. A beat. Then, lights ignited across the battleship's hull. White. Cold. Deliberate. They came on in a cascading wave, like eyes opening. On every Dominion vessel, a signal cut through the static. No carrier wave. No encryption. Just a voice. Come. Human. Unidentified vessels, this region is under the protection of the United Terran Vanguard. You are trespassing. Disengage immediately. A hush fell across the bridge. Cothraisin bristled. A human, he spat. Primitive scum. Show yourself. He stepped forward to the calm sphere, a floating orb that projected his image to the unknown receiver. He activated the transmission, his towering form flickering into the space before the human ship. This is Dominion Severance Fleet Number 3, he announced, voice booming. We claim this nebula and all resources within. Identify yourself or be destroyed. Silence answered him first. Then the battleship replied. This is the UTV Resolute. Captain Daniel Mercer commanding. You have been warned. The High Marshal's eyes narrowed. He gestured sharply. Target the vessel. Weapons spun to life across the fleet, ion lances, fusion torpedoes, bombardment cannons, all bracing, all ready. Prepare a crippling volley, Cothraisin ordered. Let this human see what defiance costs. The Dominion ships fired simultaneously. Bolts of violet energy streaked across the void, carving through the nebula mist before slamming into the Resolute's hull. The impact did nothing. No shield flared. No explosion rippled. The energy simply vanished into its armor, swallowed like a breath into the abyss. Yrosol flinched. The ship is completely unaffected. Cothraisin stared, disbelief carved into every line of his exoskeleton. Captain Mercer's voice returned. This time, without the pretense of diplomacy. Engagement confirmed. You were warned. The hull of the Resolute shifted. Sections peeled open like steel petals, revealing a spiraling core of pulsing energy. Panels rearranged. Magnetic rails aligned. A beam aperture glowed with the brightness of a newborn star. The Dominion fleet had never faced a weapon like this. And they never would again. With a soundless burst, a beam of pure white light erupted from the Resolute, slicing through the nearest capital cruiser. The ship split in half instantly. Not exploded, not damaged, cleaved. Heatless. Precise. Final. Panic thundered through the Dominion fleet. All ships retreat. Cothraisin shouted, mandibles trembling. Engines screamed. Cruisers banked and rolled, retreating desperately. But the battleship did not pursue. It just powered down its weapon. And waited. Cothraisin's heart hammered in his chest as the Dominion formation spiraled into chaos. He never looked away from the human vessel, still silent. Still. His voice was a whisper now, trembling with dread. What, are they? Far away, inside the Resolute, Captain Daniel Mercer watched the Dominion flee. His eyes held no malice. Only purpose. We warned them, he murmured. Behind him, the battleship slept once more. But the galaxy had awakened. And the Dominion had just glimpsed the end of their story. The Farstride Nebula crackled violently in the wake of destruction. Darkened hulls drifted like the corpses of mechanical leviathans, their lights snuffed out, debris dancing slowly through clouds of cobalt vapor. Engines sputtered. Systems dimmed. The once mighty Dominion fleet was now a tapestry of wreckage. And the Resolute, the ship that had caused it all, was still silent. Not resting. Not idle. Waiting. Inside the bridge, Captain Daniel Mercer stood with the stillness of a man who had fought whispered wars in the dark, wars the galaxy didn't know existed. His eyes were fixed on the nebulous horizon beyond the Resolute's armored viewport. He didn't blink. He didn't speak. He simply watched. Beside him, Lieutenant Sarah Cole stared at the tactical map, her fingers running across the holodisplay. Drive signatures scattered, she reported. They're fleeing in every direction. Some attempting emergency burns. Others, drifting. Mercer didn't look away. They won't make it beyond the nebula's boundary. It's too dense. They don't know the routes. Cole nodded gravely. They're flying blind. That's why they'll die, Mercer murmured, his tone calm but cold. Across the Dominion fleet, the situation had devolved from uncertain to catastrophic. Alarms blared. Dying systems sparked. Warriors accustomed to victory tasted the metallic flavor of fear for the first time. On the bridge of the Vorkroth, High Marshal Kothrazen slammed his fist into a console, sparks flying as the interface shattered. Impossible, he roared. We are the Dominion. One ship cannot. They can, hissed strategist Yrosol, wings folded tightly. They have. She watched her screens, tracking the faint silhouette of the Resolute, still drifting without pursuit, looming like a planetary-sized executioner. High Marshal, that ship is made to kill fleets. Kothrazen turned slowly. No vessel can. A sudden flare of white light lit the nebula. At first, they thought it was a star igniting. Then they realized it was the Resolute's engines. The ship shifted, and with almost supernatural fluidity, its engines roared to life, not with the familiar blue flame of sublight thrusters, but with blazing white light, abstract, radiant, almost holy. The nebula itself bent in response, its gases warping. Gravity tremored. Space hummed. And then the Resolute moved. No vessel that size should have been able to maneuver like that. Not that fast. Not that smoothly. Yet it did, sliding through the nebula like a phantom, cutting between fleeing cruisers with predatory grace. Mercer's voice was quiet when he spoke. We were watching them before they arrived. He turned away from the viewport and faced his officers. Execute strike phase. A quiet chime. Then a chorus of confirmations. Dorsal batteries online. Quantum coils stable. Targeting grids locked. Mercer walked to the center console, where all systems collectively fed into a single interface. With one swipe of his hand, the Resolute awakened. The battleship structure unfolded in places, vents reopened, armor retracted. Weapons nested into the hull swiveled outward. Massive arrays hummed with energy. The beams that had previously darkened now roared with interstellar might. The ship was no longer asleep. It was hunting. The Dominion fleet saw death coming not as a crashing tidal wave, but as cold, controlled inevitability. The first shot from the Resolute wasn't a beam, but a pulse. Silent. Invisible. Deadly. It rippled through space and struck the nearest Dominion cruiser. There was no explosion, only sudden collapse, as though the ship's hull had momentarily forgotten how to exist. It crumpled inward, folding itself into a spiraled husk before its remains drifted apart like dying embers. Another cruiser tried to flee, engines burning at maximum. A second pulse struck. The lights died. The ship rolled, lifeless, into the void. Panic swelled. Evasive maneuvers. Get us out. Out. Unknown weapons. We're. A broadside cannon on the Resolute fired. A spear of compressed quantum energy tore through space and then through two Dominion frigates, cutting them clean in half. The weapon's fire didn't roar. It whispered. Silent but inevitable, like the night before execution. Lieutenant Cole kept her voice steady, though Awe threatened to break her composure. Their fleet is breaking apart. Mercer nodded, hands behind his back. We're not trying to destroy them, he said softly. We're showing them what's possible. The Resolute moved again, faster this time. Faster than physics allowed. Faster than any tracking system could lock onto. It was there one moment, gone the next, reappearing in front of the fleeing cluster. Inside the Vorkroth, emergency protocols scrambled like panicked animals. They're everywhere, a technician shouted. The human ship is intercepting all escape vectors. Kothrazen stopped himself. The word had lost all meaning. We must signal Central Command, Yrosol urged. We must recall the fleets. No. Kothrazen snarled. There is no retreat from this. We wreck that ship. Or we die. He braced himself. All remaining weapons converge fire. Across the dying fleet, Dominion ships turned. Even the most damaged cruisers limped into position. Their weapons systems rebooted. Their cannons hummed once more. And all of them fired. Ion lances. Plasma storms. Fusion torpedoes. An overwhelming barrage of explosive light. It filled the void. It lit the nebula like a cosmic wildfire. It did nothing. The blasts bent around the Resolute. Some never made contact at all. Others simply dissolved, their energy absorbed and repurposed by the ship's inscrutable systems. Inside the battleship, Mercer breathed calmly. "Return fire," he said. A firing pattern flashed across the command display. A sequence too complex for any one pilot or crew to input. But the Resolute was more than a warship. It was an ecosystem of thought. And it obeyed. Lances of pure white lightning erupted from beneath its hull. Gravitational shockwaves rippled ahead of it, turning the nebula into a twisting vortex. Dominion ships were flung into each other, hulls crushing like collapsing lungs. Engines warped. Braces snapped. And then came the precision. The Resolute positioned itself dead center in the retreating fleet and fired a single beam straight into the heart of a clustered escape vector. The beam didn't explode. It folded. Space compressed. Ships vanished. Not destroyed, erased. Only a handful of Dominion vessels remained. The rest had been torn apart, imploded, or vaporized. The survivors limped away, maneuvering through the collapsing nebula as if trying to outrun fate. But fate was not through with them. Mercer watched their scattering path and smiled. "They're heading right for the sink," he said. Lieutenant Cole turned. "The nebula's gravitational core? They don't know it's there," Mercer said. "They think it's safe space." Cole's lips parted in realization. "Then they're flying into a trap." "A trap we didn't need to set," Mercer said. "But one we'll use." The surviving Dominion vessel Galleran reached the edge of the nebula's heart. The pilot's relief was short-lived. Something was wrong. The stars were bending. The engines whined. No maneuver effectiveness, gravity spike. The ship lurched downward, being flung toward the sink, a crushing pocket of gravitational pressure that pulled space into itself, shredding anything foolish enough to cross it. One by one, the Dominion ships screamed as they were dragged toward the anomaly. Their hulls bent. Weapons melted. Beacons died. The fleet's final act was a helpless plunge into darkness. The few that escaped did so by chance. Their engines stuttered, sparking. Systems flickered. They floated, barely alive, toward the nebula's edge. And waiting there, silently, was the Resolute. Watching. Deciding. Mercer gave his final order, his voice a death sentence. "All batteries, engage." And the heavens answered. The Dominion's last ships died in silence, the nebula was quiet now. Blue vapors drifted lazily through space, no longer disturbed by the shockwaves of battle. The dust clouds, once shredded by weapons fire, had settled into smooth sheets once more. The void was still. Calm. As if the galaxy itself held its breath. But beneath that silence lay corpses. Dozens of Dominion cruisers, their jagged silhouettes now cold, gutted, lifeless. Once, they had cut through the stars with naval arrogance, the unstoppable spear of an empire convinced of its own immortality. Now, they were ruins. Ghosts. On board the Dominion flagship, the Vorkroth, the atmosphere had shifted from confidence to despair, then to something worse. Understanding. High Marshal Kothrazen stood slumped at the center of his wrecked command bridge. The room was dark, lit by failing holopanels, their once dominant display a flickering death rattle. He'd lost officers, ships, an entire fleet, and for the first time in his long and brutal career, he felt something he had never known. Fear. Strategist Yrosol, her wings limp with exhaustion, stood at the tactical console. "The last of our ships has been neutralized." Rescue operations are impossible. Communications to command disabled. Her voice was low. Fragile, like a flame in a freezing wind. What are they? She whispered. Raisin didn't answer at first. His eyes were fixed on the image outside the viewport. A singular shape, drifting slowly toward them. The Resolute. It was closer now. Close enough to see the details in its armor, seams and channels cut with unimaginable precision, glowing faintly with residual light. Toward the bow, beneath the commanding silhouette of the spinal weapons array, its name could be read. Its purpose could be felt. And its judgment was inevitable. Open channels, Raisin breathed. High Marshal? I want the human. Yrosol hesitated. We can't hope to negotiate. Not with what we've done. Just open the channel. She obeyed. Static crackled. Then the screen flickered. And again, like at the beginning, the image of a human appeared. Captain Daniel Mercer. His face was calm. Weathered by experience, not age. Quiet fury danced behind eyes trained to see beyond the immediate, to shape destiny, not follow it. You're alive, Mercer said simply. His voice echoed across the bridge, filling every inch with its quiet authority. Raisin lifted his head. The shame was heavy, but it didn't drown his instinct to dominate, even now. We are warriors, he said. We don't die easily. Mercer nodded once. Then why did you run? The High Marshal froze. Mercer continued. You invaded. You ignored our warning. You fired first. And then you ran. Why? Raisin's mandibles twitched. We didn't know what you were. Mercer's expression didn't change. You still don't. Yrosol stepped forward, voice shaking. Who are you? What are your species? Where did you come from? For a moment, Mercer didn't reply. He stepped forward, leaning into the projection. His voice held a sharpened edge now, one honed by centuries of war. My name is Captain Daniel Mercer of the United Terran Vanguard. We are from Sol. We are human. And we are done being prey. Raisin snapped. We are the Dominion. We conquer. We subjugate. We control. We do not. Mercer cut him off. Not with interruption, but with judgment. You conquered worlds that begged for mercy. You annihilated species that never lifted a weapon. You chased others' screams across the stars and called it victory. He leaned in. But now you know fear. The kind you gave. And more. Silence. Tense. Heavy. It hung like smoke in a burning room. Then Mercer spoke again, quietly, with terrifying clarity. This is your last chance. Power down your systems. Prepare for boarding. Yrosol's wings fluttered weakly. You want to capture us? Raisin already knew the truth. His voice was a whisper. No. They want to erase us. Mercer's eyes locked onto his, steady and absolute. Only the guilty. Only those who refuse surrender. Yrosol turned to the High Marshal. We should stand down, she said, urgent. We don't have the strength to fight. Not anymore. But Raisin's pride was made of iron, even as his empire bled to death around him. We are the Dominion, he rasped. We do not kneel. Mercer sighed, just barely. It was a human gesture, full of regret, not anger. We weren't asking. And the channel went dead. Outside, the Resolute moved again. Its lower hull opened silently. Panels folded back, revealing sleek black pods smaller than fighters, but bristling with lethal potential. A launch bay lit up, pulsing with quiet blue light. Then the drop pods launched. Hundreds. Each one streaked toward a Dominion vessel, sleek, silver-black arrows in the void. They hit with surgical precision, embedding themselves in hulls like barbed hooks. A moment of quiet. Then the pod's iris opened and the humans stepped out. Not in bulky suits, but in sleek armor, a second skin built for war. Their exosuits adjusted automatically to the atmosphere. Their helmets displayed data streams. Their weapons hummed with energy that didn't exist in the Dominion's understanding of physics. They weren't soldiers. They were retribution. In the Vorkroth, alarms rang once more. Boarding parties detected, multiple points, levels 2 through 7. Koth Raisin spun. Seal the decks, deploy guards. But it was already too late. The humans were carving through the ship, corridor by corridor. Their weapons cut clean lines through reinforced armor. Their shields absorbed Dominion counterstrikes without slowing. One squad reached the bridge door. The Dominion guards, desperate, frightened, lashed out with blade rifles. The humans didn't flinch. A flash. A pulse. The guards crumpled. Silence settled like snow. The blast doors blew. Smoke cleared. And the humans entered. 5 of them each armored, each carrying weapons that glinted with precision, not savagery. Their leader pointed forward. 2 took the flanks. 1 watched the rear. The last stepped forward. Captain Mercer. He removed his helmet. His eyes were human. But what lay behind them was not simply humanity, it was history. Genocide. Betrayal. Survival. Vengeance. Koth Raisin faced him, wounded pride choking the last of his defiance. You would execute a high marshal, he demanded, chest heaving. Mercer's face didn't shift. His voice was flat. Utterly unmoved. You were warned. The Dominion leader opened his mouth to speak. Mercer nodded. And the Marines fired. The High Marshal fell. Beside him, Yrosol watched in pained silence, knowing that this was not judgment without reason. It was judgment long overdue. Hours passed. The Resolute hung silently among the captured Dominion ships. Some had surrendered. Some had been boarded. Others were destroyed. But the weapon was complete. It wasn't annihilation alone that had brought the Dominion to its knees. It was demonstration. Captain Mercer stood again on his bridge, arms folded behind him. Lieutenant Cole spoke quietly. Tactical reports complete. The Farstride Nebula is secure. No more targets. Mercer nodded. The hum of the Resolute pulsed quietly beneath him, its systems resting for now, but never truly asleep. And the beacon? Cole asked. Should we retrieve it? Mercer turned to the viewport. The nebula stretched before him, once a frontier of conquest. Now a graveyard. No, he said. Leave it. Cole tilted her head. You think the message will get through to the next empire? Mercer's gaze hardened. It already has. He stepped forward. Send this report to command. And add one more line. What's that, sir? He spoke quietly, 3 words that echoed across the dark. Humanity is awake. The Resolute's engines flared to life, white, pure, powerful. And with a whisper of light, the battleship vanished into the stars. The nebula remained. A monument to arrogance. And to the last mistake the Dominion ever made.